There is a particular kind of person in this world. You've probably met them. Maybe you've been them. They walk into a room and nobody turns their head. They speak and people half listen. They share a dream and someone, without even trying to be cruel, smiles politely and changes the subject. The world has looked at them and quietly decided, not much here. And yet something stirs beneath the surface. Something patient, something that has been fed, not by applause, but by silence, not by praise, but by doubt. This is a story about those people. This is a story about what happens when the world sleeps on you and you use that sleep to become something extraordinary. This is the power of being underestimated. Let me tell you about a girl named Amara. Amara grew up in a small town where people knew each other's business before it even became business. She was quiet, not shy, quiet. There's a difference. Shy people want to speak but can't. Quiet people are choosing, always choosing what deserves their words. In school, she was never the loudest in the room, never the one teachers called on first. She sat near the window, always near the window, watching the way light moved across the floor like it had somewhere to be. Her classmates were kind enough, but kind enough is its own kind of dismissal. Amara? Oh, she's sweet. She's just, she's Amara. Nobody expected greatness from her. Nobody expected much of anything, really. And Amara, here's the thing about Amara, she noticed. She felt every casual dismissal like a small stone dropped into still water. She felt the ripples. But she did something that most people don't do. She didn't try to prove them wrong. Not yet. Instead, she got quiet. She got purposeful. She turned all that overlooked energy inward, like sunlight through a magnifying glass, and she began to burn. Now let's pause Amara's story for a moment. Because I want to talk to you, yes, you, listening to this right now, about something that nobody tells you when you're being overlooked. Being underestimated is one of the greatest gifts the universe can give you. I know. I know that sounds like something someone says to make you feel better, but stay with me. Think about what happens when people expect great things from you. There is weight in that. There is performance. Every move you make is watched. Every stumble is amplified. Expectations create pressure, and pressure, as much as it can shape diamonds, can also crack them. But when people expect nothing, you move in silence. You work without an audience. You fail without witnesses. You learn without judgment. You build without the constant noise of other people's opinions telling you what your foundation should look like. There's a kind of freedom in being forgotten. The oak tree doesn't announce itself while it's growing underground. It doesn't hold a press conference every time a new root reaches deeper into the earth. It simply grows and grows and grows until one day the very ground that ignored it has no choice but to acknowledge what has taken root. You are that tree. And the people who underestimated you, they're just the soil. Unwittingly, they are feeding you. Every dismissal is fertilizer. Every doubt is rain. Every "she'll never amount to much" is sunlight in disguise. The question is never whether you've been underestimated. The question is, what are you growing in the dark? But here is where most people go wrong. And I want you to hear this clearly because this is the part of the story nobody talks about. When you feel underestimated, the most human thing in the world is to want to prove something, to stand up, to shout, to show them. And sometimes Sometimes that energy can be useful, but most of the time, proving yourself to people who don't believe in you is a trap. Here's why. When you're trying to prove something, you're not working for yourself anymore. You're working for them. Your goal becomes their reaction. Your success becomes about their apology. Your entire journey gets hijacked by the need for someone else's validation. And validation, when it finally comes, and it may come, tastes like nothing because it was never really about them. Think about all the energy wasted in arguments that didn't need to happen, in flashy gestures designed to impress people who were never really paying attention, in trying to fit into rooms that were never built for you. When Amara finally understood this, and it took her years, so be patient with yourself, she stopped explaining herself. She stopped sending updates. She stopped performing. She built in silence. She let the work speak. And the work, oh, the work, it roared. Years passed. Amara built something. I won't tell you what, because this story is a mirror, and you should see your own dream in it. Maybe it was a business. Maybe it was a skill honed to a razor's edge. Maybe it was simply herself, assembled piece by piece into something whole. The people who had smiled politely at her dreams began to notice something different. It wasn't a grand announcement. There was no dramatic reveal. It happened the way most real things happen, slowly, then all at once. A name mentioned in conversation, a result that couldn't be ignored, a presence that had quietly shifted the energy of every room it entered. And those same people, the ones who had reduced her to sweet, just Amara, they found themselves using a different word, impressive. But here's what struck Amara most in that moment. She didn't feel what she thought she would feel. She didn't feel vindicated. She didn't feel the warm rush of finally being seen. She didn't feel the need to say, "I told you so." She felt complete, whole, self-contained. Because at some point during all those quiet years, she had stopped needing their eyes to feel real. She'd become the kind of person who doesn't need to be seen to know her own worth. And that is the real power of being underestimated. Not the moment they finally notice you, but the version of you that gets built while they weren't looking. So, what do we take from this? If you are someone who has been underestimated, and most of us have been in one way or another, here is what I want you to carry with you. First, protect your dreams like they are sacred. Not because they are fragile. They are not fragile. They are powerful, but because not everyone deserves to hold them. Share your vision only with people who have earned that privilege through consistent support. Everyone else, let them find out when it's done. Second, stop performing for people who aren't your audience. Your real audience is your future self. Every decision you make it for the person you are becoming, not for the people who currently can't see you. Third, let doubt be your data, not your destiny. When someone doubts you, ask yourself one honest question. Are they seeing a real limitation in me or a limitation in their own imagination? Most of the time, it is the latter. Their doubt is a map of what they believe is possible, not what you are capable of. Fourth, trust the quiet seasons. There will be times when nothing seems to be happening, when growth is invisible, when you feel like you are moving in the dark. Those are not wasted times. Those are the underground seasons, the root-growing seasons, the seasons that make the eventual blooming inevitable. And fifth, Never let the underestimation become your identity. Don't become the person who is perpetually fighting to be seen. That is its own prison. Become the person who simply is, fully, without apology, without announcement. Let your existence be the argument. Closing scene. Let me return to Amara one last time. Years after her life had changed, someone asked her what her secret was. What was the one thing that made the difference? She thought about it for a long time, and then she said something that has stayed with me ever since. She said, "The best thing that ever happened to me was that nobody was watching. It meant I could become exactly who I needed to be without anyone else's fingerprints on it." Nobody's fingerprints. That's what being underestimated gives you if you let it. A clean canvas, an uninterrupted process, a self that is entirely, unapologetically yours. So the next time someone looks past you, the next time your name is the last to be called, or your idea is the one that gets half a nod, the next time you feel the quiet sting of being overlooked, remember the oak tree. Remember Amara. Remember that the most powerful things in this world, the deepest roots, the longest rivers, the most unshakable souls, they were all, at some point, invisible. They were all, at some point, underestimated, and they grew anyway. You will too.